It's okay to have emotions wrapped up into certain things that we're doing. But when it comes to building your business, if you can, we're emotional creatures, especially in this industry. The more you can remove your emotions from the decisions that you're making as a business, then the easier it is for you to execute those and to separate it from your own personal life. And it won't feel so heavy. This is something that's not just a hot topic, but this is like primarily what I do. I work with other businesses, I work with individuals, independents on how they can build a better, successful marketing strategy. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't actually have a marketing strategy implemented. And it doesn't matter if you're brand new in the business, if you're renting a chair, if you're a commission stylist, if you own a business, there's something that I feel like each one of you guys can take away and start implementing right away. As a hairstylist, I started out commission and I was working for the same salon for a really long time. And initially, I got used to the fact that the salon was doing all the marketing strategies for me, and this was something I didn't even have to think about. I think the problem is that when you lean too much on someone else doing all this stuff for you, and you don't learn how to do it for yourself, then number one, you don't get to curate your own perfect clientele, and that doesn't matter what kind of business you're in. It just simply is true. Like if you are not doing anything for yourself, then you're just going to have a bunch of randos that are filled in your chair or filled in your business. So if you understand your target market and you figure out their verbiage, how to attract them, how to, I guess, essentially market to them, then that's going to help build your business with that perfectly created clientele. So when I started as a hairstylist, I leaned very heavily on the salon to do this for me, the salon that I was existing. So when I started to feel more confident in my skill set as a hairstylist and I started to really sit into the things that I really love doing, then I started to talk to the clients that were sitting in my chair, and I that's when this self-marketing began. Essentially, it started face to face, and that's like the number one way, just like getting referrals. But then it started to reach out once social media started to become more of a thing, because of course when I started my career over 20 years ago, social media wasn't even around. But when I started sharing some things I was doing through social media, and I also was gaining clientele through that facet, that's when I started to realize that there was more to this. There was a way for me to reach a different kind of an audience. I was able to educate more the way that I wanted to. I attracted people that were more like me. I had clients coming in to see me that found me this way. And that started to build and grow. And then I had a curiosity, a genuine curiosity. And that's where things started to really pick up. So this is probably at least 10 years, maybe more than that. And then I started to take classes again. When you have interest in something, don't stop there. And you can start out by educating yourself, watching YouTube videos, of course, and all that stuff. And there's online courses now that you can take. But I signed up for some marketing courses in order to just really understand, well, what is it that I could be doing more of and what should I be really focusing on? So long-winded answer, but I definitely have some things that you guys can start doing like right away that will help you with your marketing strategies to start with. And then we get into the nitty gritty, like the deeper elements of it when we do one-on-one coaching together. So for any of you guys who are listening that need more help with that, that's what I'm here for. Our industry, we're not only people pleasers, but I also had a hard time saying no. So part of the saying no was the saying no to myself, I think, or saying no to others and not saying yes to myself, I think. Once you get to a place where you know what you want to put your focus more into, meaning, okay, so let me just break this down. Like if you wanted to focus on purely balayage and you wanted to build up your clientele, that perfectly curated clientele, obviously you would want to put more time and energy into that type of clientele. And so if somebody came in to see me and they didn't match that mold, that doesn't mean I don't service them. It just means that I don't put the same type of energy into them, right? So it's like I wouldn't post her on my social media platform, and I maybe for her I would let her know I one of my favorite things to do is balayage, and maybe that would open up a door. Like maybe she didn't even know that she might want balayage in her hair. Maybe she has never had it before. Maybe she had a terrible experience in the past and she hasn't experienced it with you yet. Maybe she's got 3 daughters who want to get balayage done. Maybe she owns a business and she has people who work for her that want it done. So don't underestimate the power of the resources that you can have and bring behind the chair. And I hate to say it, guys, but no matter if you want to do it or not, you're always going to be marketing yourself in this business, especially. So even if you don't feel like you are, you are. The extension of you is where your marketing skills begin. So I would say the biggest pain point for me was not leveraging the clientele that I had in my chair initially to grow and curate the kind of business that I really wanted to create. It was more like, hey, if you have any friends who want to get their hair done, I would love to do their hair, rather than being really specific. I wish I would have said things like, I absolutely am so passionate about vivid hair color. And if you have any friends that like unconventional colors or like really dramatic tones, please send them my way. I would love to do their hair, things like that. So it's like really asking for what it is that you're wanting more of, and then generating your strategies within that when you do start marketing yourself. You never know where each potential could lead to you, but every single interaction that you have is a potential. And so just see it that way. As a matter of fact, there is an acronym in the marketing world, quote unquote. It's called SWOT. And it's an acronym that stands for, it's for strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So understanding your strengths, that's very important. You need to understand, like, let's say you have a high rating on Google My Business, and that's like, okay, that's great. So now you focus your efforts on that, and how can that build a sustainable business by doing, like, having a marketing strategy surrounding that. Maybe you have a 1 to 3 year action plan, and now you need to implement those actions, and you know where you want to go. You just don't know how to get there, and so now you fill in the blanks. Maybe you're 80% booked. So that's great. So now you get to focus on other parts of the business, since you have now cemented that and you feel really comfortable and secure with your clientele. Weaknesses might be, let's say you have low engagement or you don't have a presence on social media. Okay, so how do you come up with a strategy and how you can do something differently? Maybe you've got broken links on your website. That's a big one, guys. Like if somebody visits your website and they click on something and it goes nowhere or turns up as a 404, they're gonna jump off. Opportunities, which is the other part of SWOT. Opportunities might be putting a certain portion of your money into your ads, or doing a promo for reviews, like getting your clients to give you some reviews. So that way, again, they're publicly spreading the word about your business. And as a side note, I always advise people to set aside 5% of your income for marketing. And by doing that, you're going to be able to go a little bit deeper with the efforts that you're doing. So, like, part of this planning strategy, the SWOT part of it, is like coming up with a plan that's wide. And then the ad space is going to go into the parts that are more deep. So I'm sure you guys have heard me use this analogy before. And then the last part of the SWOT is T, like the threats might be your competition down the road, let's say. That could be a threat to you. And why is that a threat? Maybe they are doing something very similarly, but maybe their prices are slightly less than yours. So find out where the pain points of that business might be and how you can offer something differently, and where your different point of view is and what makes you stand out and why that client would want to see you rather than that other business. Maybe some roadblocks like pre-booking percentage is low or something like that. So whatever those like key performance indicators are, which ones of those are low, that might be a threat into growing your business. And so focusing on how you can make that grow and coming up with solutions for it is what's going to help recycle that back into a strength piece of your business. Two things that I think are really important to focus on, and this is probably one of the biggest roadblocks for people, is number one, they don't know their target audience or their target market. We can't be everything to everyone. So let's figure out what it is that we're really stellar at, and just let's get that rocking until we're ready to add on to it. So like, you can't be good at everything, but if you are really stellar at two things, then get those until you can be blindfolded and do it. And then you can add on a third and then a fourth. And that's how you grow. And it's also like how you can maneuver, like, talk about diversifying your portfolio, diversifying your income streams, being able to get really good at two things is better than being mediocre at 10 because well, we all want experts to help us, with making decisions or servicing us, and we also want to feel like we can rely on them. Well, how awful would it be if we were like, okay, this is what we specialize in, and then a client comes back to us and we decide that we don't want to do that anymore, we want to do something else, and then we have to rebuild ourselves again. So being consistent is a really important thing. Okay, the second thing, too much effort is being spent on Instagram. It's okay to put a lot of your time into it, but some people, that's all they're putting their marketing efforts into. Think of Instagram as like fast food. Like, it's good to have every now and then. It tastes yummy. It's going to fill you up and you're going to be hungry like 2 or 3 hours later because it burns right through you. It's not healthy. You don't want to eat it all the time, but it's a way to treat yourself. Like, Instagram is fast, quick information. It might not be the best source of information, but it is some place that you can regurgitate information very quickly. You might get inspired by it. And you're also, your reach is going to be a very small space. So like, think of a meal that might fill you up longer, that has like the right amount of like macro, micros and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm not a health expert. So don't judge me if you guys are more into health than I am, but I think you're going to get my point with this. Like, my point with this is, to go long and wide, you have to make sure that you're implementing a strategy that is beyond the platform that it's supposed to live in. So if you are going to be resting into a platform, make sure that you have different goals for different platforms. We all know that, I think it's like, what, under 3% of your followers are actually seeing your information when you put it out there. And at the end of the day, it's still only going to be live 24 to 36 hours and then it's done. Let's say you have a Pinterest strategy. And I mean, guys, Pinterest, it's popping right now. Like, Pinterest, you could put something up and 2 years, like a live pin can last up to 2 years. That's amazing. That's so crazy to even think about it. You can put the exact same post that you would on Instagram and mirror that on Pinterest and use the right tactics and marketing strategies to lead them to the place that you want to lead them to. And you do that consistently every single day for like even 3 months. Just watch what happens. Watch what happens, because you got to have a different strategy. And when you're in one platform versus another, like I was saying before, and if you divvy up those strategies and you put a realistic timeline on what you want to put into it, then you're going to feel more cemented in those efforts. You're also going to feel like you have a purpose behind it. And anytime you have a purpose behind it, it makes you do things in a very different way. It makes you show up in a different way. It makes you feel better about doing it. It makes you feel like more grounded in your decisions. And it also feels a little bit less chaotic and all over the place. And what's funny about it? I think you actually remove your emotions from it more too. I think that's kind of a good thing sometimes. It's okay to have emotions wrapped up into certain things that we're doing. But when it comes to building your business, if you can, we're emotional creatures, especially in this industry. The more you can remove your emotions from the decisions that you're making as a business, then the easier it is for you to execute those and to separate it from your own personal life. And it won't feel so heavy. It just won't feel so heavy and permanent. Like, if it doesn't go the way you don't want it to, then you're like, okay, I take the stats from that and then I'm going to do this differently next time. And then instead of being like, God, I did all this and it's not happening the way I want it to, or oh gosh, I'm just so frustrated because this isn't happening. It just makes you focus on things in a very different way. Do I want to focus my efforts on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok? Is your target market hanging out there? It's a little dry work. It kind of does suck when you're doing it. But what doesn't suck is when you actually start making money from it. So there is something in it for both of you guys. It's not just about the philanthropy work, but although I will say doing that, it makes your cause feel a little different. And it really does feel good, guys.